Hello and welcome to Do It Yourself Musician. Today we're going to be taking a look at my MPC2000. Going to do a little bit of an overhaul here. Unfortunately, the old girl is hurting a little bit. Mostly it is the screen that's giving me fits. As you can see, it's darkened out there. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. But it also has some broken buttons, like these are all busted. This one's busted. The shift key doesn't work too well anymore, so I'm going to replace the tact switch under that. These pads are okay, except this one will kind of double hit sometimes. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just use a different pad or whatever. So yeah, there's multiple things that's wrong with this, and you can spend a lot of money overhauling these. You can totally customize your MPCs. You can put into this more than it's worth easily, pretty quick. So I decided, instead of doing a complete overhaul right now, I was just going to fix kind of some of the things that were wrong with it. Another thing is the power button is broke off, which is real common on these things. You turn it on here and put the disc in. Let me get you a closer look at that screen. Okay, here's a closer look at the screen here, and you can see that it has real bad burn in on it, and it just got so bad that it's just really hard to work with. You can't even hardly see the beats per minute and stuff up here when you're working with it. It's actually worse when I'm using it in my studio because the lighting is a lot lower, and it's even worse than what you see here. So today I'm gonna change the screen, which we have a new one here. And we'll take a closer look at that one in a minute. Going to change these broken buttons, which I have new buttons here, and these are they're not the same color because these are made totally aftermarket by MPC Stuff. So none of the buttons are going to match your original color. So you should change them all at once or change them in groups. I've got some tact switches for changing the shift button, and then also a new cap for the power button. I'm going to go ahead and just turn this off. And by the way, I just said it, but I'll mention it again. I got everything from MPCstuff.com. They've got all of this aftermarket stuff to fix and customize your MPCs. I'll just show you real quick how to take it apart. There are two screws on each side. On the back, you've got these 3 screws across the top here. 1, 2, 3 over there. On the bottom, you have the ones on the face here. Okay. And then after you pull out all those screws, make sure that you take your slider off. After you pull out all of those screws, the fascia here will pull out, and there's another 3 screws under there you need to take out. Then you can get the top off. So let me go ahead and do that. So after you get all the external screws removed, you'll be able to pry this fascia piece out. And then there's 3 more screws here you have to pull out. Okay, and now I've got these 3 screws out on the front. Just be able to lift this up, and you can see buttons falling out everywhere. And the top comes off like that. And yeah, here's these buttons all fell off. These are the broken ones. This one's also broken here. And this is really as far as you need to disassemble it to work on your buttons and your screen. I'm going to go farther because I need to get access to this tact switch over here. You can also change your pads here and your pad sensor from here. It's just like a ZIF socket type of thing up here. I'm not going to change mine right now. I think this piece here is around $50, so I was just trying to change the minimum I could to just sort of overhaul this thing to make it easier for me to use right now. I'll do more later. So I'm going to go deeper into this by pulling the board loose here. You can see there are screws here, and they've got little arrows at them that you need to take apart to get this to lift up. There's one down here too. And then I'll pull that out and go ahead and show you what that looks like. There's one here too, and you of course need to take the pad sensor out of this connector here. So let me do that. Okay, we've got all the screws out of this board, and I'm just give you a close-up here about how to get this ribbon out of here. Just pull that down like that. It works. If you have some type of tool to slide under here, it goes a little smoother to sort of pop that thing out of there. Okay, the next thing you do is just pull up on your jog wheel, and the whole thing should come out. Okay, now in order to get this all freed up, you have to take this metal plate off because you can't undo this connector here. So there is a screw here, here. There's one here, and here. I think, oh yeah, and there's also the one with the arrow there. Pull out all those, and this metal plate should lift up, and you should be able to unplug this cable from the other end. Okay, now I've got those screws out. This whole plate will lift up some way here, and there is, hopefully you can actually see that. Right here, there's the other end of this ribbon cable at the other end of this one. There. So that's got our board freed. I'm going to put that aside for a second. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is pull out this power switchboard. There's a screw here, a couple of screws on the back. This connector, which I've already popped off. You can pop off this connector. Of course, it has a little zip tie there. Just be easy pulling that off. So you don't cut anything, and now I can remove these screws, remove the board, and let me show you something about this power switch. Okay, here's a look at this power switch board. And the problem that happens with these is that your button cap, which is sticking outside of the back of the unit, like so, people either tilt the whole MPC up onto its back, or they set it down not realizing something's there, and they hit this button, and this button will snap off. And you can see there it has like a small square interior piece that it goes over, but of course that gets snapped clean off of this. Okay, so I somehow need to mate this to this in a sturdy way. There is a spring right there that you can see. So what I think I want to do to resurrect this switch and keep using it is, I believe that if I can drill out the center of this, just take that, drill out that square piece there, and give me enough room, I can get this to slip over a bit, and I can just super glue that on there, and that'll be fine. It'll stick out enough to operate it, and it won't well, I don't want to say it won't break off again, but hopefully it won't ever break off again. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a drill to this and try to drill out that that little square interior. Okay, so yeah, here is the end of this cap. You can see I just drilled that little piece out. It just broke right through. It wasn't even very deep, and I just used a 1/4-inch drill bit to get in there and drill it out. And I put some tape around it, obviously, to protect it from the vise, but you can see that this will now fit on here. So let me get the tape off this, and I'm going to just super glue the button onto this. Okay, you can see here that I've glued that button. It's hard to see from that side. Make sure you have this bracket screwed on here before you, if you glue that button on, because that's kind of what you're doing. If you glue that button on as you're trapping this bracket on, it really doesn't fucking matter if you do that, though. You know, hopefully this is going to go back on there and never come off again. So that's what I did. I just used this super glue gel. Set that aside to dry, and we'll move on to something else. Probably a lot easier than unplugging it. And just feed this, just have to feed this ribbon up through here to get this separated from the plate. And the tact switch we want to remove is here. It's right here. So with these button caps here, all you really got to do is just squeeze them a bit and they pop out. No, that one's wanting to hang on. There it goes. So that's the guy there that I believe is failing a lot. Let me go ahead and suck that dude out of there. Let's just double check our new, this is our new tact switch. It's the same thing. Cool. All right, let me go ahead and suck that dude out of there. And I'm actually going to remove both of these here because that one, which I actually don't remember which one that was, or which function key or whatever, but or number key, but it wasn't reacting well either. And the same thing, just very, very gently try to push these over. Okay. I actually need to get this button off here too. And these will pick right out of there like that. So we get the new ones and solder them in there. Okay, let's solder these bad boys back in here. Using a very fine solder tip and very fine solder. And when you reinstall the new tact switches, or when you install the new tact switches, they go flush, completely flush with the board. Okay. Okay, now that we got those in there, let's put these button covers back and look at pulling these other ones out. So we can start with these broken ones here. Okay, these are actually all together, aren't they? Ah. Yeah, this is one row, one row of buttons, whereas the new ones are individuals. And you can kind of compare. Be very difficult to really see with this the difference. This is like a, you know, I really don't know plastics or anything, but this is a hard, brittle. You know, you know, if you have an MPC, you know what this plastic feels like. Whereas these new ones they're like a softer type of plastic. It's not a 3D print or anything. These are molded. I can see the molding marks. But I bet you this button will hold up a lot better. Let me go ahead and try to pull these red dudes out of there. It looks like they're a group also. Yeah, there they come. And of course that's the same kind of hard, brittle plastic. Clean that up a little bit. Oh, yeah, got a little bit of flashing on that. I better get off there. Just trimming that up a bit. Don't cut off the little shoulder on there. Just trying to trim that up a bit so it goes in a little easier. Just like that. Here's our next white one. Fit. That one fit real easy. Here's a white. Here's a red for overdub. And a red for record. Okay. So like I said previously, these are not gonna, these colors are, you know, obviously not gonna match your old buttons. So, you know, I just decided to do this bank because they were broken. Then I got this guy that's broken also. Then I'm going black right there. And I just left everything else its native color. So let's put this black one in here. Clean it up a little bit. And there, now there's black. And that don't look too bad. We got white, gray, black. I think that's good for the buttons and the tact switches. Power switch is drying over there, so let's just actually move on to the screen. Alright, let's take a look at this screen. Can't actually see much on this. It looks like, I mean, there's some type of microcontroller or something under there. I don't really want to pull this up, though they did say that you could lift this up to move it a bit. But I don't know, that it seems like that plastic's holding really well, and I don't really want to damage this thing, so I don't know what to say other than this is MPC Stuff's custom screen. They make them for the 2000 old school, which I have, and I think the other ones are for the XLs, if I'm not mistaken, that's why there's so much length on this. I don't believe you need all this length for the old school. So let me go ahead and grab the chassis and we'll look at installing this. Okay, so what you have on here is you have 2 screws that are holding this in. They're very, very small screws. You'll need a jeweler's screwdrivers or something to get those out. But you'll need to pull those out. You'll need to unplug this connector here. And then there's basically another one of these kind of zip socket type things back there that you'll need to unplug to pull that ribbon out. And that's where the ribbon from the new screen goes in. So let me grab a small screwdriver and get these out of here first. Alright, so I've got these screws out. You should lift out of here and just kind of support that board when you're pulling that off. And then this lifts up. I know that's hard to see, but it should. There it goes. It just pulls up at you, and old display comes out. Then you take your new display, and it goes in with the ribbon cable pointed up. The metal sides need to make contact with the metal in there, which actually means that you have to twist this. We get a screen here, and like this is how the screen is, but in order to make the proper contact, you have to twist this over so your metal pins are facing the back of the machine. Stick that down in there, then push down. And that should be perfect. Now, like I said, there's a lot of extra meat here. Extra length, because this also goes for the XL. So the screen will sit in there like that. We'll screw it back in there. Okay, I've got it screwed in there. And I believe they said the last thing was to remove some protective film that's on this. However, I'm struggling to find it. Looks like it's coming up there. Okay. I'm actually not going to do that just yet. I'm going to get everything ready to assemble before I peel that off. I'll do that last second. But just so you know, this cable is the only one, this ribbon cable is the only one that actually plugs in. You don't use this anymore with this screen. And like I said, I believe they said that you could pull this up, because there is like double stick tape in there, so you could pull this up to adjust this if you have to. I'm hoping I don't, because I actually pulled up on mine earlier and it seemed like something was separating in there, and I don't know. So yeah, we need to let the power button dry, the glue on it dry, before I can reinstall that. So everything's pretty much done at this point. I'm just going to wait for that to dry, get everything reinstalled, then I'll pull off this masking and put the top back on it. Okay, I've got the power switch hooked back up. You see it operates fine now. Got a nice easy push button to operate. So next thing I want to do is put the main PCB back onto the metal top plate, and get that thing positioned back in here, and just try to power this unit on. There was a little something here that happened. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, what you're looking at right here on the bottom of this LCD, this right here, this white thing, this is some type of backing paper that was stuck on the back of this LCD. And The thing is, in the instructions on how to install these things that MPC Stuff has on YouTube, it says that you can pull this up and reposition it, and it's a little crooked, so I tried to pull this up and turn it a bit, try to make it more level, and when I did that, it actually pulled this white backing off. Now, I need to fire this up to make sure that that is not extremely necessary, because I mean, that may be what causes this thing to have even illumination. I don't know. But I need to check this. I think it's, kind of not a good deal to tell people that they can pull these up and reposition them if it's going to rip the back off of the LCD. So let me go ahead and get it into a place where I can power it up and we'll see what it looks like. But I went ahead and I pried off the double stick tape on this thing. See, they made this with some double stick tape under here. And the reason for that is so you can, kind of readjust this so it's straight. And mine was crooked that way. And that's how I wound up separating this white piece here. But it turns out that this white piece does have a bit of sticking under it. And I was able to just push it back down after I pried it up. So the way I would suggest actually installing this thing is to try to carefully separate the screen from the PCB first. Then go ahead and plug your ribbon cable in with the contacts pointing towards the back of the machine. Then you're going to have to twist the cable around and just hide it up under the screen as best you can, like so. And then go ahead and screw the PCB in. That way you can get this thing mounted the best you can, and then you can gently lay the LCD back over onto it without sticking it down hard. Then you can temporarily fit your cover on, find out the alignment you need to make that adjustment, and then jam this on hard. That way you'll avoid picking up this white backing paper off this thing. Okay, here we go. Everything is loosely installed back in here, and I've got the screen just barely stuck on there. I'm gonna just try to test fit the top here. So I can tell that I'm pretty straight. It's just a little too high. So let me come down to there. All right, there we go. That's pretty darn close. All the way around right there. I think that'll work, and our shift now works. You pretty much get into everything here. Okay, let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit and get the case screwed on. Okay. Alright, put the slider knob back on. Alright, let's go ahead and turn her on. It's asking for the disk. Let her boot up. All right, good. Let me go ahead and load in a program. Okay, I got a program loaded up here. Let's see if we get some sound. All right, cool. So that does it on this little bit of an MPC refurb. We put a new power button into it, changed some tact switches up here, put new record, overdub, stop, play, play, start switches, a new note repeat, tap tempo. Those are all the switches I had broken. Other than that, I didn't really do much to it. This pad here still doubles up sometimes. Gonna have to change that at some point. The pad sensors, probably get a new set of pads. And you know, now that I've changed these, I kind of want to change the other ones, but that's the way that it goes, right? You kind of want everything to be new. But yeah, the screen, you know, it's definitely going to work fine. You know, I'm just happy that I can actually see it now. So you got to hand it to MPC Stuff for that they were able to get these manufactured so we can keep our MPCs going. All right, thanks for watching and see you next time.